नीरज चेक करो। So shall I allow now people to enter?
Yeah, yeah. Love.
When can we start?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
let's. Yes.
Okay. Daman Saab, Mr. Shekhar, delegates from FIDIC Asia Pacific, the engineers or the other members who are making use of this webinar. I welcome all of you for this webinar on very important subject, that is AI for automation of material takeoff, that is on beam. The CIA, let me introduce, it is providing service to the consulting profession for over 60 years now. We are organizing webinars, seminars, workshops on the topics of importance and upgrading the skill and knowledge of the professionals on the latest developments, what are taking place and which can be of use in their day-to-day life. The software which is being presented today by Mr. Shikhar will be quite useful for the construction industry, especially because it will cut down on the time required in the planning part. And that in turn will cut down the cost of the manpower. And also they can do more number of biddings, and also then they can do the proper planning also for the construction works. The coordinator for this webinar is Mr. Sudhir Dhawan. He is a past president of Consulting Association of India and currently president of FIDIC Asia Pacific. He is the chairperson of the FIDIC committee as well as foundation committee of CIA. I'll hand over to Mr. Dhawan to introduce the speaker and moderate the session.
Thank you, Aras. It is an exciting day for the consultancy industry in India, at least, and my welcome to my friends from various parts of Southeast Asia. And I can see quite a few from China and others I can't make out, but welcome all to this webinar. We organize this early morning in India just to make it available to people in Southeast Asia and Pacific countries in their afternoons. So this is the first of the series of webinars CI proposed to organize on AI, use of AI, which everybody is talking about AI all over the world. And even a child now knows what about AI, but he may not know what it can do and not do. Now, there are different fields, and we wanted to choose a field which is especially very useful for Indian, engineers in all over in world. And for that, we invited Shikhar Tripathi, who is Vice President of Attentive AI. Attentive AI has been working for a few years now on AI in different fields. They started with the estimation of landscaping, roads, and those pavements in parking areas. And most of their business is in USA. And Shikhar is a bright civil engineer from IIT Delhi. And he's heading the team of Attentive AI on this part of the calculation of material for buildings. And their software name is Beam, as is shown on his T-shirt also. And we are going to listen to very exciting. After his presentation, there'll be question and answers, and he will be available to give all the questions and answers. So with this, I hand it over to Shikhar, and all the best for this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Good morning to everyone. Thanks a lot for joining in this Friday morning or afternoon for a few of us. Thanks a lot for the introduction. So I'll get us started. What I'll do is I'll try to present. I'll present, talk about the software, how it can help you for the first 30 to 40 minutes. And in case you have any questions, you can keep posting them in. And the last 15 to 20 minutes, we'll reserve for any questions, and I'll be happy to answer those questions for you. So I'll just get started, share my screen here in just a bit. I think my screen should be visible now. Yeah, okay. So
Yes.
sounds good. So I'll start by talking about the problem we solve and how we can help you. So this is based on our survey of speaking with general contractors and specialty contractors based out of US and Canada. We found that estimators and project managers who typically build cost estimates for bidding on jobs. They spend anywhere from about 30% to 50% of their time on taking off material quantities. So that's what got us involved in this problem, because that's a lot of time being spent on taking up quantities. And again, it depends on how you're doing those takeoffs. A lot of these software tools that are available in the market, like I'm sure you would have heard these names, Bluebeam, PlanSwift, that allow you to upload your plan documents, and then you have to trace out those quantities, count like fixtures, or calculate the amount of rebar that will go into a structure. All that included takes away anywhere from 30 to 50% of your time just being spent on quantity takeoffs. And as a contractor or as a supplier of quantities, that's a lot of time being spent away from providing some value engineering to your customers, or spending time on things that are more productive, right? So that's what the problem is, especially again, based on our experience in the US, Canada, also in Australia, that you don't want your highly trained engineers spending time on taking off quantities off of a plan, right? So that's where it all started. And then just to quantify this problem, or to present how this problem really affects estimating teams or engineering teams that are involved in taking off quantities. And that is, if you're spending this much time in taking off quantities, it's keeping you away from more important work. For example, instead of speaking with the customer, understanding their requirements, understanding the requirements of the project owner, you're spending time, in front of a computer screen, calculating material quantities. Or during a peak season, when you have a lot of bids, you can send out. You have a lot of projects you can bid on. You just can't bid on all of them, because there's only so much work you can do. It means that you are missing out on potential revenue opportunities. And then there's also inadequate amount of time that you have on your hands during a bid cycle. So let's say you need to bid on a project and you have a month to bid on it. You can easily, if it's a large project, you could easily spend about a couple of weeks just on taking off quantities, which means that's the amount of time you could have spent with the project owner to understand, hey, can I provide you with some value engineering? If we change this component, or if we make this structural change, we can cut down the cost by 2%, 3%, right? So those are the conversations as an engineer you want to have with your project owner, because that will help you win that project and also provide more value to your customers. But because you're spending so much time just taking off these quantities off of a plan that some architect or engineer prepared for you, you just can't do that, right? So that's where that's a problem that a lot of estimating teams and contractors in general are facing. Again, one key trend that we have observed in Australian region and also in US and Canada is that contractors who are the first bid out, who are the first ones to send out the code for a request for proposal, they typically have an edge over others. So that's one more thing to think about. Like, if you're trying to win a project, you want to be the first one to send out that code. Of course, you want to bid competitively. You want to spend the right amount of time making sure you have the right competitive bid. But then again, if you're spending so much time taking off quantities, that's kind of slowing you down and making your bid less competitive against your competitors. So these are the set of problems that we've seen contractors face. Now, I'm not sure if all of these you would be able to relate to, but I'm sure somewhere in the estimating process, because of the manual part of the process, you must be facing one or two or maybe more of these problems in your estimating workflow. And that's where we come in. So, and then again, a general trend in the market is that with the new advancement in technology, the new paradigm that's being ushered in by new technology, what we are seeing is that the new generation of the best construction industries in the US, they will be the ones that will provide more value to their customers. So instead of just sending a quote like, hey, I'm going to charge you XYZ dollars to build this, what project owners expect is more value engineering. Like, hey, there is a alternative, there's an option B, which is if we make this adjustment, we can cut down the project cost by 2%, 3%. Do you want to go with that option? So if you provide that kind of value to your project owner, that's where you can really start to win. And for that to happen, you need to provide some enhance, you need to enhance the value that you provide, which means as a engineer, as a estimator of quantities or estimator of a job, you need to spend more time on things that improve your final product, which is your code. And you need to spend more time with your customer understanding their requirements instead of spending time on just behind a computer and doing your takeoffs and just mechanically sort of sending out a bid to your customers. So that's what we do. Beam AI, it's an AI-based takeoff software. What it does is that it automates this process for you. So you send in a plan like this one in PDF, a plan that has plan set document that has this, your plan, all the elevations, structural details. It has any specification details. You send that in, you upload that on our platform. And then what you're looking at your screen right now, this is what the software gives you back. So you can see it, it's able to estimate all these quantities for you. So you can see these colored polygons, and I'll show a demonstration of the platform in just a bit to make this point more apparent. But what I'm trying to show you is that the software gives you all these quantities. So it automates that takeoff for you. So it tells you exactly how much cubic yards of concrete would need to be poured for this particular project. It will tell you exactly how many tons of steel or rebar you need to budget for. It will tell you exactly how many lighting fixtures, how many feet of or meters of conduit, how much earthwork will need to be moved out or moved in to the site to build that project. It automates all that so that you don't have to do that, right? So that's a value that Beam AI brings in. And then it's all quality check. So it's AI, and then it is quality check. So you won't, the accuracy is 95% plus. In fact, it's higher than that, but I just want to be a little conservative there. 95% is a bare minimum accuracy that you should expect on a takeoff. And I'll show you a few examples as well to drive this point home. That's another example. You can see on this particular plan set, the software has taken off all the pile structural elements there. And on the left-hand side in this table, you can see it gives you a very detailed breakdown of the quantities and the structural reinforcement as well. And yeah, this is an example of what you get back from the platform. So you can see it gives you an Excel export that has a list of all your quantities. And now you can easily use these quantities to build your estimate. So if you were spending 10 days previously on doing your takeoff, now you'll just have to spend 1 day or maybe less to just review what the software gives you back. So you're essentially saving 8 to 9 days. And now you can use these 8 to 9 days to scope the job better or provide some more value engineering solutions as an engineer, as a consultant to your customers or to the project owners. The software does takeoffs for a variety of trades, 16 trades to be precise. I've got a few of those listed here. So you can see concrete, drywall, masonry, landscaping, roofing, structural steel is one example. It also does finishes takeoffs. So all your flooring, tiling, furnishings, etc. It does electrical takeoff. In fact, the largest electrical distributor in Canada and in the US, Rexel, they are our customer. And I think Rexel also sells in India. I think they have a huge presence in India as well. So they've also started using a platform over the last 6 months. But yeah, plumbing, asphalt, paving, insulation, all those types of trades are covered. So you're looking at this from you can look at this from a general contracting purposes. All the trades that go in or all the work that you need to estimate to build a project, to build a greenfield project from ground up, you can estimate that using the software. Quick note about who can use Attentive AI or Beam AI, the product. General contractors, specialty contractors. I've written down a few examples. So HVAC, mechanical, plumbing, concrete, finishes. If you are a construction material supplier or distributor, you'll also find this useful because you want to provide accurate quantities of materials to your customers, which can either be a general contractor or a specialty contractor. And then again, project management consultants. If you are supervising a job, you're ensuring its timely completion, you're doing some diligence at the start of the project, you can use this software to estimate the quantities and see if the contractor has estimated for the right amount of quantities, because that helps you do that second level of quality check or sanity check on the project scope, so that you don't end up with time or cost overruns later in the project. So that's who can use it, and all it takes is a couple of minutes of your time to set up a takeoff on the platform. So I'll talk about this when I give you a demonstration. But all in all, before I move forward, I want to talk about what this means for you. So what benefit do you get out of it? The most important benefit is that you save about 90% of your time on takeoffs. So you get the takeoffs done for you, and now you can use this time to refine your estimates and provide more value to your customers, send out takeoffs faster, right? And then you can also send out, typically, when you're hard pressed against bid deadlines and you have a lot of bids that are due, you are bidding on many jobs, you can, it's a machine. So you can send in as many jobs as you want. So we've seen, based on our customer case studies, we've seen customers, contractors send out up to 30% more bids than what they were able to send out before using Attentive AI. So just think about this. If you're sending out 100 bids in a year, now you can send out 130. So if your bid win rate is, let's say it remains the same, let's say it's 10%, you're winning 10% of those extra 30 that you send out, which means you're winning 3 new projects. And if you have the fulfillment capacity on ground, you can actually add that much more revenue into your annual budget, right? So that's where the software can really help you scale faster. You don't need to hire new people, train those engineers. You can use the software to build those takeoffs for you. And then lastly, the accuracy. Again, I said it's 95% plus, but with the quality checks in place, what we do is we align with you on the scope of work. We align with all our customers on the scope of work and any particular specification details. So the goal is to be 99% plus accurate when we go live, so that you don't have to spend a lot of time going back and making corrections. So that's the goal. What this means is that you get a very accurate assessment of your quantities, and then it helps you ultimately translates to better margins, better estimate on the time estimate of the job, labor estimate, equipment estimate. So it kind of trickles down to operations as well, which finally leads to better margins on the job. So that's why the accuracy in the takeoffs is one of our key value propositions. That's what we take pride in, because if estimates are not accurate, then they're not really useful. So yeah, those are the 3 things I would say I would take away, or I would want the participants in the group to take away as to how the software can really benefit you in your daily life. Here are a few examples of the customers that use our platform. Again, these are some of the largest contractors based out of US, Canada, and Australia. Rexel at the bottom right of the screen, they are probably the largest electrical supplier in US and Canada region. They're a French company, and they have operations around the globe. And you can see a lot of concrete rebar contractors as well. So there's a civil contractor based out of Florida and the like. So we have a variety of contractors, HVAC, plumbing, mechanical, electrical, who are using our software. So I don't know the composition of the group that's attending the webinar today, but I'm sure whatever trade you estimate or bid for, it's very likely that the software can automate those quantities for you. So yeah, that's just one final bit. After this, I'll just move to a demonstration session. So I'll actually show you the software in and how it works, and some quantities that it took off. But I'll just wait if there are any questions for me, or should we just, I think we should just move to the demonstration session. If you have any questions, you can just type them in and we'll answer them towards the back end of the session. So let me get started with a demo of the platform. So this is the software. It's a cloud-based software, so you don't download anything on your machine. You just go to this link and you get started. So I'll show you how you can set up a takeoff. You start by giving a title to the job, and then you move to the next screen. This is where you upload all your project documents. That would mean all your plans, engineering drawings, any city specifications that need to be adhered to. You can dump all those files here in this box. And then at the bottom, there is this scope box. This is where you type in the scope of work, which is exactly what you want the software to take off for you. It's like ChatGPT, so it understands your instructions in plain English. So hypothetically, if you just wanted the software to take off all the concrete and rebar quantities, you could just type that in. So something like take off all concrete and rebar quantities. So you can just type that in, and then you can hit this submit takeoff button, and the software will go ahead and take off those quantities for you. So it's just like conversing with a human when you're typing the scope of work in this box. And on the right-hand side, actually, you can actually see what all the software is capable of taking off. And I'll just scroll through this list so that you can find something that's more real to you, that's more relevant to you. So yeah, if you're talking about electrical, it takes off all your fixtures, controls, switch gears, your entire power plants, receptacles, feeders, etc. Takes off all that. And then finishes, all your ceilings, etc. Flooring, furnishings, your landscape, hardscape, talking about masonry, takes off your CMU, stone, granite, marble that you'll be using on the job. Mechanical and HVAC, that's all your piping, ductwork, all your heating, ventilation equipments, VAV boxes, each and every fitting, down to each and every fitting actually. So all your elbows and T's and whatnot, so on and so forth, roofing, structural concrete, all your utilities, so all your sewer, sanitary, stormwater piping, length of those, etc. Takes up all that. So yeah, but circling back to where I was. So as I said, just takes 2 minutes of your time to set up a job. You get the engineering drawings from the engineer. You click on this button, you upload them, you type in the scope, you hit submit. And then the software starts the processing for you. Once the processing is complete, and there's a inbuilt quality check that we do over the work done by the AI. Once that is done, you get an email confirming that the takeoff is complete. And then this is exactly what you get back on the system. So just to show you an example, this is a concrete and rebar takeoff. So you can see that on this side of the screen, there is this plan document that one of our customers had uploaded. And you can see that the software has drawn these polygons, these layers, right? It has colored all these, and it has actually, there's nothing but detection of these structural elements. So this green colored polygon that you see there, that's a base slab. That's actually a foundation slab. And all these small polygons that you see there, they are actually pad footings or pedestals. That's your concrete topping. So that's what I was talking about. The software is able to read your plan details. It's able to refer to these section details. So actually, it'll read this and it'll go and look for this section detail on some other sheet. Look at that and essentially model the structure, its rebar details, and then produce those quantities, calculate those quantities for you. So that's what the software actually does. And you can actually see it on the left-hand side. So if I talk about this green colored polygon that you see right here, that's your base slab, right? That's a foundation slab. And then look at this description in detail. So this is what the software generates for you. This is 100% auto-generated. So it tells me that the square feet area of this slab is 10948.7 square feet. And again, we can switch to metric system, so that's not a problem. And it tells me that it's 36 inch thick. It's got these rebars. So it's got a number 6 rebar at 9 inch center to center, top and bottom. It tells me there's a bend at the top, right? It tells me all about the dowels that are inside that concrete slab. It captures the lapping. So it follows your construction codes as well to actually simulate the accurate quantities of rebar. And then finally, it gives you your cubic yards of concrete. So there's 1216 cubic yards of concrete in this slab. And then it also tells me that there's a total of 53 tons of rebar steel that will actually go into the slab. So just imagine a software doing this for you instead of you having to go back and referring to these sections and calculate this on your own. So that's what I've been talking about. This is what you get back. So it tells you all these quantities, all the rebar details, so that you can use these to build your estimates and essentially save so much time. I'll show you a few more examples as well. Let's look at let's look at this continuous wall. So it's this item, this edge that's flashing in red. That's what I'm referring to. It's a continuous wall. And it actually detects the height of that wall by referring to some other elevation in this plan set. And it tells you everything about it. So this detail, this is all your rebar details, capturing all the lap splicing, development length, et cetera. It actually gives you the section details from which it acquired that information, so that once you get the takeoff back, you can go and review these details to make sure everything looks good. So that's an example of a concrete and rebar takeoff. I'll give you one more example of a few other trades. So let's talk about structural steel. So I think this would be, I think this is a better example. So this is structural steel. You can see the quantities taken off there. So let me highlight something. Yeah, right there. So it's taken off this structural beam. And you can see it also gives you the type of the material. This gives you total counts of the materials as well. And then it can provide you the tons of steel. So it does that end-to-end takeoff for you. Takes off all kinds of structural elements. So if you're building a portal frame or something, you can see all that taken off. So I'll just zoom in. So that's your base plate, all your welds, right? Steel columns, bracings, et cetera. All that gets taken off. And then if you want to look at some other trades, let's look at masonry. So that's your masonry takeoff. And you can see your CMU walls. So the surface area, and then you can use these quantities and just apply your production rates to arrive at your cost estimates and your labor and time estimates. So that's one more example. Let me show you something on the HVAC plumbing side of things. So yeah, let's look at plumbing. Right. So yeah, there you go. So that's your plumbing takeoff. You can see all these pipes and fittings that have been taken off. So all these colored lines that you see, that's what the software is auto-detected by reading these plans and section details. And you can see your quantities on this table on the left-hand side. So for example, this is my cold water 2-inch diameter pipe. Right now being highlighted in red, and it's 104 feet in length. So all that gets taken off. And what the software can actually do is read more details, read each and every note that's there on the plan. So you can see that this cold water pipe is, it also gives you the material type. It's type K copper, right? So it gives you information at that level of detail. And then I'll also show you some duct work. So that's your mechanical / HVAC takeoff. So it's got all these duct lengths in there. So all these quantities that you see right here, they are your ducts, and they have been auto-detected by the software. It's also capable of telling you if it's a low, medium, high pressure duct based on a certain logic that we can align with you. It tells you what's the material of the duct. Is it galvanized steel or something else? If there's a liner inside it, so that you can very, very accurately arrive at your cost estimate. So that's that. And I know we just have 30 minutes to go, so I'll try to move a little faster and talk about a few other key features. So one of those features is this editing toolbar at the top. So once you get the takeoff back and you're doing your own review, you can actually use these tools to make any adjustments or any corrections that you might need to do. So let's say if I want to edit this duct, I can just hit on edit, select this duct, and I can make adjustments to it. And in real time, the software updates those quantities. So you have full control over these quantities and making adjustments over them. So if you're speaking with your project owner, you can, if they want you to make any adjustments or if they send you some addendums, you can actually make those adjustments on the go and be very agile agile and responsive to your customers' requirements. So that all is taken care of. And yeah, it's able to read all these notes, all these callouts sections. It's able to essentially build a model inside it using AI, combining all the plans and elevations. So if you have pipes that go vertically up, it's able to look at architectural plans, look at the difference in the heights between the floors and arrive at those heights and quantities. So it's capable of a lot. And again, I think the best way to test it out is to send something that's real to you. So if you have a sample plan that you'd like me to run, I'll share my contact details towards the end. So you can actually see the software takeoff quantities that are more real to you on a job that you've already bid for. So I'll certainly make sure to do that. A couple other things before I bring this, before I wind this up, is that once the takeoff is complete, you can export it in various formats. One of them is the Excel export. So this is what it looks like, the Excel output. So once the takeoff is complete, you can actually send, you can get this Excel report and you can share this with your owner or with your project managers or with your contractors. So they can actually see your quantities. So it gives you a very detailed breakdown. Like if I'm looking at this particular slab that is 24-inch thick, this is my square feet quantities. I can see my cubic yards of concrete. I can see my tons of steel. And if I want to look at this in more detail, I can go to these sections and look at it. So very detailed breakdown, and the system is built in such a way that it makes it easier for you to review, go back and do your review, so that you can verify that everything looks good before you actually send out that code. So that's one. And then it also generates this kind of PDF export. So if you are in that project review stage, early in the stage when you are sort of aligning on budget estimates with your project managers or owners, you can use this PDF file to make your presentations. So you can see it attaches your plan documents on the right-hand side with all these quantities called out. And on the left-hand side, you can see this table that lists down all your quantities from that particular sheet. So it does a very useful format or a report when you're making your presentations. Lastly, one key feature that I'm sure you'll find very useful is that there's a lot of times when you get addendums or revisions in the plan or revisions in the technical details as the project moves on. So the software allows you for a very easy solution for that. So what you can do is you can send in or you can upload the revised plan documents into the system. And what the software will do is that it will take off those quantities again. And then it'll actually tell you which quantities changed and by how much. So it'll give you the delta so that you don't have to go back and do spend so many hours on seeing exactly what changed and by how much. The software will auto detect those changes for you and give those quantities. So that you are on top of those changes and you are able to move along with the pace of the project. Yeah, that's a quick overview of what Beam AI can do for you. I'll just take a pause here, and I think we can now start moving towards answering any questions that any of the attendees have for me. So
There are a few questions on the screen on chat box.
sounds good, sir. So I'll go one by one and start answering those questions. So there's question number one is from Mr. Girish Chandra Mishra. Question reads: in plumbing and firefighting, is the software compatible with IS codes or only ASP and FPA? Is it a Revit 3D model? Okay. Okay, got it. So first part of the question, is the software compatible with IS codes or only ASP and FA? The answer is yes, it is compatible with IS codes also. Question two, is a Revit 3D model needed? No, it's not needed. The software works off of PDF files that are 2D plans and elevations. We don't typically require isometrics, but if you have them, it helps the software model better and provides you with a better accuracy of the output, but it's not necessary at all. Third question is the software CP, WD, DSR compatible for quantification? I'm not sure I understand this question correctly. CP, WD, DSR. What I'll do is I'll make a note of this, sir, and I'll post this question to my technical team, and then I'll relay the answers back to the group so that you can have your answer back. So I'll make sure I do that. But hope I was able to answer the first two questions. The next question is, can you show how the software works for bridges? Absolutely. So this is a bridge takeoff that we did for a very, very large organization out of the US. They've built very iconic bridges in the US. But yeah, I can show that to you. So this is the bridge takeoff. We're looking at some abutments right there. So it gives you your, we're looking at some pile foundations there. So all these points that are being called out, these are your piles. And then if you click on it, it tells you more details. To show you a few more details of what the software was able to capture, I'll show you some abutment details. Yeah, right there. So that's one of the abutments of the bridge. This is the item that's highlighted in red. So that's your abutment 1. And this is the level of detail that you get back. So in fact, this is the abutment footing. And it gives you your cubic yards of concrete, total tons of steel, so on and so forth. And then all the metal and structural steel work is also captured in the bridge. I'll show you some examples of piers as well. Right, there you go. So that's your pier, and all these structural I-beams, they've been columns. In fact, they've been taken off. And as I mentioned, it refers to details. So it can actually refer to details from some other sheet, correlate those, make sense of those, and produce accurate quantities of that. I hope this gives you an overview. The software is very well capable of taking those off bridges. So all the metal, concrete, rebar, in fact, all the construction joints, all the foam work as well can be taken off accurately. So yeah, I'll move on to the next question. Are the drawings required to be detailed in a particular way for the AI to read it effectively, or this doesn't matter? That's a great question. I think with every machine, it's garbage in, garbage out. So we typically recommend our customers to send in as much detailed drawings as possible. So if you're sending in a schematic drawing, the software can take off quantities for you based on certain assumptions that are built into the system. But then if you have a construction drawing, you're going to get much more accurate quantities at a much higher level of confidence. So to answer your question, Prudence, yes, the software is capable of taking off quantities across all varieties of design during this project stage. whether that be schematic or construction. But yeah, if it's a more detailed drawing, you're going to get more detail back. So what you send in is essentially what you get. Which Indian companies using this software? So at this moment, we do not have any Indian companies using this software. We do have a couple of large multinational organizations who are headquartered out of Europe or US that have branches in India that are using this. So Excel is an electrical supplier contractor. They're headquartered out of Paris, but they have offices in Pune and they use our system. But at this moment, we don't have any Indian born and bred company using this software. Our customer base right now is based out of US, Canada, and Australia. And we are rapidly, we started off with US, then we went to Canada, now to Australia. So we are also expanding our footprint and reaching out to newer markets. But I don't see any reason why this won't work for Indian companies. In fact, Indian engineers build this software. So I would encourage you to try. And if you want to send in a plan or two, please feel free. Next question is, which file format can be imported into BMS software? So at the moment, sir, only PDF files that have the plan and elevation documents. You can also send in PDF documents that have spec details or any city specifications that need to be followed. You can send those in. If you have CAD drawings, that also will work, especially for earthwork, where a lot of grading work is to be done. In those cases, DWG drawings can also work. But typically, if you have PDF drawings with you, you should be good to go. Next question from Sudhir. Can pre-stress and steel quantities be taken out if capable profile drawing of bridge girder is available? Yes, sir. We can do that. Not a concern at all. Next question is Blaine. From Blaine, is there a limit to the number of plans that can be provided? No, there is no such limit. Our software has worked on projects that are $150 million in overall bid value. And so I'm talking about plan documents that have 1,500 to 2,000 sheets of plan documents in them. So not a concern at all. Part B of the question. Furthermore, will the takeoff be split by structure? If you have a site with various structures, would you need to define these structures in scope of work? Yes, sir. It's advisable that when you're setting up the takeoff in this box, if you want the software to take off or break down those quantities into zones or by structure, it's advisable that you specify that. In fact, you also have this option to upload any additional scope document by clicking on this button. So if you want to give a detailed instruction or maybe support the scope of work by drawing some schematic diagrams, you can do that. And we can take care of that, especially for larger projects. I understand where you're coming from. So that certainly is doable. Next question from Mr. BK Swain. Is there any specific format of the drawing? As I mentioned previously, you can send in PDF files or .dwg files and it should work for you. Next question is from Mr. Jagdish. Is it compatible with the SI system? Absolutely, sir, it is. So I just need to go to settings and I can change this from the imperial system to the metric system. So it's just a one-click switch and it should work. Next question is from Mr. Adarsh Patil. What would be the confidentiality of the information shared? Great question. A lot of contractors we work with, they do government work, especially in the US, a lot of US military bases, and then the confidentiality of the plans or the information they send in is a great concern. So we work on Google Cloud. So all the security, data privacy, protection architecture that's available on Google Cloud applies to us. So no information is shared with anyone else. All the data that you send in is stored on cloud, and no one outside of the organization has any access. And again, this software is a cloud-based software, so there's no way it can access anything that's on your machine, that's on your computer. So that's that. And then again, if you want us to sign any NDA, non-disclosure agreements, if you're doing a government project or some kind of confidential project, we can sign that NDA. No worries with that. So that's that. I think there's a part B to the question, which is how about linear infrastructure projects and case studies? That's a great question. We when you say linear infrastructure projects, I understand you mean long highways or freeways. Yeah, we've not had a lot of experience in working with those kind of contractors. Again, I don't see why we shouldn't be able to make this work for them. I mean, the same quantities can be estimated for a unit length of those linear projects, and then it can be scaled out or scaled up. So that should work. But yeah, at this moment, I don't have case studies for you for those. But yeah, that's a great question. Next question is from Mr. Murli Sudhakar. Is it compatible to estimate bridges? Yes, sir, it is. I showed you an example. This is what we looked at. So it's very much capable of taking off all kinds of quantities that go into building bridges. And then next question was highway quantities. Yes, it's able to look at highway projects as well. Again, I'll circle back to the answer to my previous question about linear projects. We don't have a lot of experience with those, but then I don't see any reason why it shouldn't work there. If you have a sample plan set, you can send it over and I'll run it for you, and we'll see how accurate we can be there. And just to add to that, in fact, what we do is our engineering and product teams, we're always looking out for partners and engineers and consultants to help us improve our product. So if this is something where something new has to be custom built, we can certainly work with you and build that model. Next question is from Mr. Hamza. And the question is, how can we access the software? So for that, sir, I will just pulled up my details, contact details here. So if you want to reach out to me and want me to set up your account on the platform, you can either scan this QR code to set up a more personalized call with me, or you can reach out to me on this email ID. Drop me an email and I will reach out to you and get your account set up. Next question from Mr. Suresh is, can we use this software for billing, itemized measurements, only for bidding? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, for billing, so the software gives you the detailed breakdown of quantities. So it tells you tons of steel and cubic yards of concrete, and it breaks it down item-wise, but it doesn't let you associate any cost number or price number with that. We're still working on building that part of the software. Within 6 months, we'll have it go live. But at this moment, it's just for quantities. So you can use the Excel output and apply your pricing numbers against those items or quantities and arrive at your billing or invoicing estimate. Has the software been applied to tailing storage facilities? I think yes, sir. I'll just go back and check if we've done any such project for any of our customers. What I'll do is I'll make a note of this and check if you've done that, and I'll get back an answer to you. Thanks for that question. Mention any Indian agency who have worked till now. I think I answered this question previously. We don't have any native Indian company that's been using this, but we have some multinational companies that have offices in India who are using our software. Our primary customer base is US, Canada, and Australia right now, and we're also expanding to the Asian region, or we're planning to very soon. So that's that. Next question is from Mr. Tushar Ghosh. Does the system generate detailed measurement sheet? Can you show a sample format? Absolutely, I can. So this is the measurement sheet. It gives you your name of the item. So for example, this is my item, base slab 24-inch thick. It tells me it's 186.16 square feet in size. And then it gives me my cubic yards of concrete and my tons of steel. So this is the measurement sheet. This is the output that you get from the platform. And you can just scroll through the sheet, and you can see a very detailed breakdown. So beam 1, beam 2, beam 20, all your cubic yards, all your measurements from there, they're taken off and presented to you in this Excel sheet. And again, if you need to make any customizations to this Excel sheet, we can. So that facility is of course available, and we're able to do that. So I hope that helped. Next question is from Mr. Adarsh, license cost of the software. Again, great question. The pricing of the software is it's an annual subscription model, and the unit of pricing is the number of workable sheets. By workable sheet, I mean a sheet on which the AI actually draws those polygons, detects those features, and extracts those geometries. So that's a workable sheet. So if you send in a plan that has 100 pages in it, my guess is that about 20% of them will be workable. And then the pricing is that you pay per workable sheet. And the pricing per workable sheet is anywhere from $15 to $30 based on your volume. So if you use a project, if your volume usage is higher, your price per sheet, per workable sheet is lower, closer to $15 per sheet. And then vice versa. Again, this would translate to 1,200 Indian rupees to 2,500 Indian rupees per workable sheet in that job. And yeah, your price per job, it depends on how big the job is essentially. So if it's a bigger job which has more sheets, the pricing will be higher. So that's some information on the pricing for you. Moving ahead, Mr. Shri Vatsav. Can information be imported from IFC files? No, sir. At this moment, no. Typically, in some cases from CAD files, and typically from the PDF files. That is the allowed import formats at the moment. Mr. Neeraj, his question is, does we can edit the input values and software? Yeah, absolutely. So you can, I think I mentioned this briefly. So when you get the takeoff batch, you can use this editing toolbar at the top to make any adjustments. So if you feel that the software took off things incorrectly, you can make this adjustment on your own. So hypothetically, let's say the software gave you this duct, right? But clearly, it's not clearly correctly detected the length of this duct. So what you can do is hit on edit, select this duct, right? And then draw it back, correct it. So you can make those corrections on your own. You have full control over the takeoff. So you can make any adjustment. You can draw one from scratch. So if you want to draw a new duct here, you can use the add feature tool and draw one from scratch. So 100% editable, takeoffs. Next question is the software available to South Africa? Absolutely, sir. Anyone across the globe can access the software. No concerns with that. This is my contact information. You can reach out to me. Mr. Krishna, how much accuracy level can one expect from this AI software? I mentioned 99. I've mentioned a couple of accuracy numbers there on the deck. I mentioned 99%, which is real, very real. Almost all of our customers that have gone live, they expect and they receive 99% plus accuracy on their takeoffs. So if you do plan to go live with us, in fact, we don't go live with our customers until we demonstrate 99% plus accuracy. So we keep doing those reps and improving our models until we are that accurate. So I would say 99% plus accuracy can be very easily achieved for whatever trade, whatever type of jobs you do. I don't see any concerns with that. Next question is from Mr. Adarsh. Is the software capable of creating auto dashboards like Power BI? Not at the moment, sir. You are able to, we have open API available. So if you want us to integrate into any such dashboarding solutions, we can do that. But within the software environment, it's not able to generate any other kind of dashboards. So that is outside the purview of the software at this moment, but that's a great idea for us. I'm certainly going to give that feedback to my product team there. So next question is, did you mention that you are working on a platform to estimate rates pricing? Yes, sir, we are. We are building that module. Will this be country specific? I don't think that will be country specific. I don't see that happening. If so, there's a limit to the countries that you can invest in. No, sir. The software will be available for everyone across the globe. The pricing modules will be built in a generic, in a robust way. And so I don't see why it shouldn't apply to users or engineers in Asia or in Africa as opposed to US or Canada. So yeah, I think I would request you to check us out when we go live with the estimating module. I think it should definitely work for you guys. That brings me to the last question, which is from Mr. Suresh, accuracy in percentage plus or minus. So we can add or deduct at the beginning time. As I said, sir, the accuracy is 99% of whatever number that you typically have. So what we do, the way we work is that if you want to go ahead with our software, what we'll do is we'll do a 2 or 3 weeks of free trial where you send in the takeoff and you see how accurate it is. So that's what my typical advice is, that you send us a takeoff, let us do it. Maybe you send us a couple, let us do it. We give you the quantities back, and then you can actually compare those quantities with yours. And then you can figure that out, that, hey, what's the percentage margin I should use on that? So that's because every engineer or every organization does takeoffs a certain way. There's always some nuance to it. So instead of giving you a very generic answer, my recommendation would be that you run a couple of takeoffs and see how accurate it was versus your quantities. And then you can use that buffer to bid on newer jobs. But again, a general answer would be that we are 99% accurate. If you have a gun over my head, I would say bare minimum 95% accurate, not lower than that, because we do have a quality check process built in. So you can think about those numbers in that range. But again, my recommendation would be that you actually run a couple of takeoffs yourself and see how far off we were, and then plan your bids accordingly. So yeah, I think that was the last question. No other questions in the chat. Any other questions for meeting, folks?
Rajiv, we can open the mic for everybody, and if somebody wants to talk straight, we can do that. Rajiv?
Doing it, sir. Doing it.
Thank you, Shikhar. I think it was a great presentation, and many of us learned a lot out of this. And many of us were not sure it will work. And what you have shown is that it is workable. And I think India, you are not doing marketing, so no people are not aware of this. And that's why CAI decided to introduce this to all the members here. And hopefully, slowly, people will make use of it. And also in the South Africa and Southeast Asia, anybody is welcome. So any direct questions anybody wants to ask Shikhar? Most welcome, or to ask CAI. So with that, if there are no questions, I would like to close this webinar. Thank you all for joining, and I think it was so interesting and so informative and educative for oldies like me, at least. Maybe the young generation is more aware of all this. And the CAI is going to organize a training on predict conditions of contract on 10th and 11th May in Delhi, in CAI office. So if anyone wants to participate in this training, we are most welcome. It is open to everybody, and anybody can welcome. Anybody is welcome for that. So with this, I would like to thank everybody, and thanks Shikhar for an excellent presentation and very great answers. And we look forward to having future seminars on AI webinars, and look forward to meet you all in our other webinars. All the best. Have a great day. Bye.